Welcome to the Mazerati Levante Trofeo. This is Maserati's highest performance SUV. I drove one of these a couple years ago and was very impressed upon initial impressions. This week I've spent some more time in it and thoroughly enjoyed my experience behind the wheel. Very excited to drive this car for you guys today. We have a 590 horsepower twin turbo 3.8 liter V8 that is built in a Ferrari factory in cooperation with Ferrari. We have an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, all-wheel drive that can do up to 50-50 torque split, though most of the time it's rear-wheel drive, and a 50-50 weight distribution. We have double wishbone front suspension, multi-link rear suspension, just all the good stuff. You look at the spec sheet on this Levante and it feels like you're looking at a supercar. Pretty amazing stuff. We're going to go through, take this for a drive, walk you around it. We'll test this Bowers & Wilkins sound system. But let me just walk you around the interior here real quick. We have, we'll just get this out of the way first, we have a lot of FCA switchgear. Maserati is owned by FCA, so there's a little bit of carryover. The nice part is everything works. We've got FCA window switches, headlight switches, turn signal stock, wiper stock switches, and of course the infotainment. So we've got a lot of different settings in here. You can turn on your heated steering wheel. It's a relatively quick system. Sometimes the touch controls aren't exactly immediate, but you can also control here with this little scroll knob, and then this top knob will control your volume. Kind of an interesting stacked situation. And then you have this very cool, what Maserati calls 3D carbon fiber. And it actually has a very nice texture to it. Of course, you get a real cigar lighter. How cool is that? You get that thing burning red hot. How many new cars have that these days? This being an SUV, you get plenty of storage, so really deep cup holders down here, a little outlet, plenty of space to put things in the glove box, but otherwise a pretty basic and driver-focused interior. And that goes into the rest of this SUV. This is a driver's car. Put it into sport mode, give it a little bit of a rev. This is also one of the lightest vehicles in its class. This Levante sits on 22-inch wheels. We have these grille flaps that increase efficiency but also open up when it needs extra cooling. A very nicely integrated adaptive cruise control sensor there in the Maserati logo. We have some carbon fiber bits on the front bumper. All the finishings, all the little touches on this SUV look pretty sharp. Maserati hasn't gone overboard. It's refined, it looks good. We have soft closed doors. Good amount of space to store things in the back. A little bit of storage under there as well. And really the only place where this car says Trofeo on it is right here in the little Maserati logo on the side. Besides the wheels, the upgraded brakes, you wouldn't really be able to tell that this is the top spec, quickest model. You also get Trofeo right here in the seat headrests. These seats fold down basically flat. You get a lot of nice SUV space and usability. The leather feels very high quality. I have a good amount of legroom back here. Great visibility, especially with this panoramic sunroof. And you even get little privacy screens that you can roll up and down. A couple USB charge ports, cup holders, all the good stuff. This Levante Trofeo is $151,000. so pretty much in line with a lot of its competition. But the special thing about this vehicle is what's under the hood and what's in this drivetrain. This 3.8 liter V8 is sensational. Carbon fiber cover. It's got the red Ferrari paint. It sounds the business and it goes like stink. Alright, I think it's enough talking about it. Let's go for a drive and see what this thing is like on the road. Before we get started with today's drive, I would like to thank our sponsor, Vent Grips. I will say this is one of my favorite in-car phone mounting solutions. I just got mine in last week and I've really enjoyed using it. Basically, it's a magnetic phone mount. So you put a little magnetic plate behind your phone case. You can put it on the outside, on the inside. It's safe for your phone. It's safe for all your credit cards. And it's very strong. So basically, you just slap your phone up there and it's not going anywhere. We're going to test that in this video with launch control and all the G-forces we'll pull in this Trofeo, but it's a really nice solution that's very versatile. It works in just about any car. They just kind of slide into the vent like this. They just pinch it. There's a thick mount and a thin mount for different style vents, but honestly, I found that this works for pretty much everything. It's very easy to put in and install. You can either leave it there or switch it between vehicles. It's a relatively inexpensive product too. It's only about $25. If you guys are interested, Vent Grips has hooked us up with a discount code for the Topher subscribers. It is just the Topher. Also, one of my favorite things about this mount is it places your phone a little bit higher up in your field of view. Let's say you don't have a car that runs Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, then this is a really good solution for that. Anyway, we're always trying to work with brands who make great products for drivers, and Vent Grips is definitely one of those brands. As always, you can support the Topher by supporting our sponsors. Head on over to their website, check out some of their products, and if you end up buying anything, be sure to use the discount code, TheTopher. Let's go ahead and take this Levante Trofeo on the road and see what it's like to drive. Show you guys a reverse camera here. Pretty typical stuff, pretty standard from FCA products. We have a few different drive modes. We have an off-road mode that raises the air suspension substantially, an increased control and efficiency mode, which makes this as fuel efficient as possible, though that's not saying much. We've averaged about 13 mpg so far this week in this. And there's also a normal drive mode, sport mode, and a new Corsa mode, which we will explore a little bit today. The power from this V8 makes everything effortless. There's tons of torque from the twin turbos. The ZF 8-speed is tuned beautifully to work with this powertrain. I found it a very fluid and easy car to daily drive all week, despite its high performance. We are on high performance Continental tires, so we'll let them warm up a little bit before we really get going. I'm very curious though. Let's see what launch control is like in Corsa mode. Hold the left paddle, launch control enabled. Doesn't take long. You hear the turbos spool up right before you let off the brake. That's awesome. It's not as brutal as like a SRT Durango or a Hellcat, but it builds, and 0 to 60 happens in no time, under 4 seconds. Red line's at 7,000 RPM. I can't believe how good this thing sounds. It's just incredible. One of my favorite things about this Levante is just how easy it is to change different drive settings. So you have a setting here for stiffer suspension. Your sport and Corsa modes are easily accessible. The sound from this 3.8 liter V8 is just intoxicating. It's a beautiful mix of exhaust note and turbo induction noise. You get this sound that's twofold. It comes from the front and the back. It's wonderful. And from the outside, it sounds fantastic. You can just play it like an instrument. I love it. They do offer these paddle shifters in carbon fiber, but honestly, I would prefer the aluminum ones. They are just that much more exciting to shift on your own. They make this little noise on upshifts and downshifts. It sounds just that much more exotic. Yeah, very satisfying. You can put this Trofeo into full manual mode and do all the gear changes yourself. This 8-speed is super responsive. The power here is just phenomenal. That 590 horsepower sneaks up on you. This isn't a light car, but it's fast. It's properly fast. The power band is so linear that you kind of have to be careful with how much throttle you apply. And I'll say that even in Corsa mode, the ride quality is very comfortable. It's very composed. Steering is fantastic. I have a really nice amount of feel through the wheel, probably thanks to those 22-inch wheels. Let's take us out of Corsa, put us in normal here. You can immediately feel the ride quality soften up. You get on the highway, the air suspension is always adjusting ride height for increased efficiency and aerodynamics. One of my favorite things about the Levante is the automatic cruise control. This is one of the best systems I've used in any vehicle at any price point. The lane centering, the highway driving assist is fantastic. So we'll see here, it keeps you perfectly centered even around corners. You do have to have a grip on the steering wheel, so you can't just touch the steering wheel. You have to have a little bit of contact with your hand, but it pretty much does all the work for you. You can see there's this little steering wheel icon that will go from yellow to green whenever you have the correct grip, and if you let your hand off for a few seconds, it'll beep at you and complain. So you better be holding the steering wheel in highway driving assist. It's GPS based, so it'll sense when you're on a highway, and you can actually get some pretty close following distance out of the system in traffic. I don't feel like I'm holding people up behind me. I feel like I'm following at a normal distance where people aren't going to try to pass me and get around me. And when you do need to make a pass around a slower vehicle, it accelerates reasonably quickly. It does a nice job. This is a great system. I've been using it a lot in day-to-day driving, and it's proven to be very useful and practical in my time with it this week. You can easily enable and disable highway driving assist with the press of a button, the way it should be, and the radar-guided cruise control system will take you all the way down to a complete stop. So we'll see here with this car in front of us. Not touching anything here. Let's say we want to resume our speed. All we have to do is tap the accelerator button or press up on this little button right here. Let's take another corner in this, see what it's like in Corsa mode again. Guys, it's a bit of a handful. There's a lot of rotation around corners here. Once you get past a certain amount of steering lock, this Levante will rotate on you, but it's very controllable. You get this kind of big SUV rally car feel out of it where you can just chuck it in, get a little bit of liftoff oversteer, play with that angle of drift and slip, and once that initial amount of body roll sets in, it's kind of fun. It's a bit of a hooligan. I really like the air suspension in this too. The ride quality is fantastic. It stiffens up just enough so that Corsa mode gives you good handling, but it's not overly punishing. And there's a pretty amazing range of ride heights in this Levante. Off-road mode 2 really puts a lot of suspension lift and a lot of body clearance for this SUV. And then you put it into access park mode and it's just slammed to the ground. It's really easy to get in and out of. Ingress, egress is awesome. One of the advantages to an air suspension setup is just that ride height adjustability, and this Levante takes real advantage of that. Even in Corsa mode on these horrible roads, ride quality's reasonable. It's livable. Guys, there is so much grip. There we go. Now we get some tire squeal. Just incredible amounts of performance from this thing. The suspension tuning and that double wishbone front is just magical. For an SUV, I've never felt anything like it. Let's put it into manual here. Play with the paddles some. You can also use gear selector down there. The steering is very quick to return to center, and that's probably due to the really wide tires and the very thin, narrow sidewall. But as a result, you get fantastic steering feel out of this. If you want to cover distance quickly in amazing comfort, it's hard to beat this. Watch how quickly it changes directions. Just a little bit of wiggle and rotation from the rear end on exit. It's beautiful. Guys, I've been smiling. I've got this silly grin on my face, and it's been there for pretty much the whole drive. Let's do one more. Why not? Oh, I love it. So much performance, so much capability, but it's so subdued in how it delivers it. Yet it still manages to be exciting and visceral and engaging and fun to drive. That's what it's all about, right? Why spend $150,000 on a performance SUV if it's not fun to drive? So the performance that this Trofeo offers is sublime. It's amazing to drive at speed, but what's this like as a daily driver? Well, I found it to be really relaxing, very comfortable. You put it into ICE mode, increased control and efficiency mode, and it smooths out and it becomes this beautiful, comfortable luxury SUV to drive. The throttle control is fantastic. This 8-speed ZF is butter smooth, really, really nice to live with. Your controls, your buttons, your switchgear, it's all easy to access. It's all relatively simple and straightforward. If you're into a lot of tech, this might not be the car for you. You probably want to swing for a BMW or Mercedes counterpart, but you don't have to worry about 10 different screens and buttons and settings and controls in this, and I do appreciate that. I think that's a very nice thing to have in a modern luxury vehicle. Really, the only downside that I've been able to find with this week is just the fuel economy is abysmal. If you baby it, you're lucky to average about 17, 18 miles to the gallon, and that's hypermiling. But for the most part, you're probably going to be in the low teens with the way you want to hear this V8. You want to hear it sing. You want to hear it really, really rip. I've got a full tank here, and it's giving me an estimated range of 237 miles. Otherwise, as I mentioned earlier, this Levante Trofeo is just a nice driving experience. I talked about this with the Quattroporte we had a couple months ago, and it was refreshing to get in a car like this that was just simple and not distracting. Sure, maybe there are some things here that are a little bit lower quality than the competition. You know, some of these panels and switchgear are definitely straight out of FCA products. But the driving experience and the dynamics of this thing really deliver to the price point. This is truly a vehicle made for people who want to go fast and enjoy the driving experience. You could daily this, it's livable, it's practical, but you know, you take this out on a track or on a good back road and you get supercar levels of performance, and it puts a smile on your face. It's fun to drive, and that's something that not a lot of SUVs get right these days. Awesome, just awesome. Put us into Corsa mode one more time here. Excellent brake feel, tons of bite. The more you turn the wheel, the more front grip there is and the more the vehicle rotates. There's not really any understeer in this Levante. It's thanks to that double wishbone front suspension. You just get so much suspension travel under cornering. It really provides a dynamic experience. It's awesome. While we're here, let's do one more launch control. Might as well. Hit that paddle twice, all the way down. Let the turbo spool. Oh, that's addictive. And for the performance that this Levante Trofeo has, it's pretty subdued. I mean, this is a nice, loud red color, but you get this in a black or a gray, no one's gonna know what this thing is. It's not super loud so that you're gonna alert all the neighbors to your hooning. In normal mode, the exhaust is pretty quiet and toned down. This is one of my favorite performance SUVs I think I've ever driven. It's pretty good. It gets the dynamics right. It's simple. It's not overly distracting or complicated, but what's important, it does very well. All right, guys, let's cruise around here. Let's show you what this Bowers & Wilkins sound system is like. Put us into normal mode here. That doesn't get old. And see what the sound system sounds like. Of course, like a lot of FCA products, you have controls behind the steering wheel for your volume adjustments and track selection. And you can also use this guy right here. Sounds pretty good, honestly. Not the best audio system I've heard at this price point, but I think you'll be reasonably happy with it. It is a Bowers & Wilkins, and usually they do a pretty good job with their in-car audio. All right, guys, well, that's going to wrap up the Maserati Levante Trofeo. I just love saying that. It's a fantastic name and a fantastic SUV. This is a Maserati that I'm actually pretty excited about. Everything else that I've driven from them the last few years has been okay, but this is a really top-notch effort. So a little bit low on tech, a little bit low on some features, but I think everything that a buyer would want from a vehicle like this, it delivers on, and it does very well. So that'll sum up my thoughts on the Levante Trofeo. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Check out Vent Grips for a really nice mounting solution for your mobile devices. And yeah, guys, until the next one, take care. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later.